Hello.
Hi, this is Laura from Fame Games Radio. Is that Al B?
Laura, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All is well, all is well. How about yourself?
Well, you know, it's a bit late here in Europe, so it's our witching hour. We're doing great.
It's the witching hour in Europe. Now, where in Europe are you calling from?
We're calling from southern Spain, right on the Mediterranean.
That sounds romantic.
It is.
Southern Spain.
It's a real creative place.
Absolutely.
So how much do you know about Fame Games and what we do here?
I was really excited about it because I heard some people talking about it, and so I said, I want to be down. We got to figure it out.
Yeah. It's the American Idol for radio.
American Idol for radio, exactly.
Much more credible. My producer, Paul Sikowski's feeding me the info.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and you know, we started online and got picked up by ABC Radio Networks about a year ago.
What a wonderful company. I've worked with them for 6 years. I had a syndicated show with 70 stations called The Secret Garden, which is more of a romantic music and intriguing personalities, everyone from Jamie Foxx to Flavor Flav, and just, you know, it was really a fun show. And it was like, you know, the one common denominator we all had was just all loving music. So anybody from NBA basketball players to comedians to anyone. So it was great. It was a good show.
I was reading about that in your bio. It sounded fantastic. Sounded like a very sexy show as well.
Oh, absolutely. Well, just imagine Flavor Flav, you know, putting it all down and getting into a sexy mode.
You have more radio that you're doing now, yeah?
Absolutely. For the last 2 years, I've been in Los Angeles doing middays, doing the part of middays for 92.3, which is the old school and R&B station. So just a little bit of everything from Smokey Robinson to Usher to Justin Timberlake. It's a nice format. It's something that's needed in radio because it keeps the vintage music alive outside of just playing the trendy hits. You know, it just focuses more on hit R&B and hit, you know, pop R&B. So it's a great format.
Sounds like we're kind of on the same wavelength.
Absolutely.
For a lot of our listeners who might not have heard of you, can you give us a little bit of background? Because your biography is phenomenal. All the people that you've worked with and things like that. It is amazing. But I'd like to hear it, you know, in your own words.
It's been a blessing over the past, I don't want to date myself. I guess everyone says I look a lot younger than I am. You know, I celebrated my 40th last year.
Congratulations.
And, thank you, which celebrated my 22nd year in the music industry. And it was launched by, you know, none other than someone we all know and love and who has decades and decades of hit records and just a philanthropist and just a very kind individual himself. His name is Quincy Jones. He, you know, basically gave me the cosign and the opportunity and chose me in a contest that was set up by Sony Corporation of America, which they were looking for signed and unsigned artists, you know, just innovative style type music that they wanted to kind of, I guess, give a little catapult to and a little boost to. And what they did was they broke it down to a field of about 51 cassette tapes. Now, you know, we're going to take it back just a little bit, you know, some cassette tapes. And the final judges were Herbie Hancock and Quincy Jones.
Wow.
And Herbie Hancock chose a gentleman by the name of Terrence Blanchard, which he's an incredible musician. He does so many soundtracks and scoring of films and so on and so forth. And then Quincy Jones chose Al B. Sure. Now, at that point, all I knew, you know, I knew the history, of course, of Quincy Jones, and I was just a very big fan, but he tended to embrace me and somewhat cultivate me as a producer and writer and artist. And I went through a quick transition of artist development, which really doesn't exist at record labels anymore because, you know, basically having someone like a Quincy Jones sitting you down and giving you the 411 on how things should be and how to conduct yourself as an artist and what to do in terms of producing and how significant melody is and songwriting and so on and so forth. So I had an opportunity to be under the tutelage of a Quincy Jones, which has been a blessing, you know, along with producer Teddy Riley as well. We used to sit in the projects. Of course, Teddy is responsible for groups like Guy and Blackstreet and has produced Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys, you know, just a little bit of every Boy George. I mean, just a plethora of an eclectic mix of artists because of just the amazing sound that everyone wanted to gravitate towards, which was called New Jack Swing.
Oh, right.
So we kind of, you know, we went from there. And then I released a single called Night and Day.
Yeah,
here in America.
You know that one.
And it was number one on the charts for 7 weeks. And then I released an album called In Effect Mode, and it actually it stayed on the charts as well for several weeks. And we sold about 2 million copies of that particular record, and through when I was at Warner Brothers. And then really took an interest in finding other artists, and started to produce and work on other artists such as Tevin Campbell, this guy you may have heard of named Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
Just those type of people. And I think the magic is that I entered into each project just with the understanding that I just really was interested in creating melody around these artists. And that's when I got an opportunity to do remixes for Robert Palmer, like I said, Rod Stewart. I worked on, with Richie Sambora from, Bon Jovi, along with Al Green, Diana Ross, Quincy Jones, and then had an opportunity to also work with Barry White, James Ingram, El DeBarge on a single called Secret Garden, which is synonymous with the radio show that I did. Mm-hmm. And it just became this, I created a camp, and of course, I don't want to say I discovered, but I brought a group named Jodeci to the light. And Jodeci, basically, I was out on tour for my first album. I was out on tour, which was called the Any Heartbreak Tour, and it was Al B. Shore, Bobby Brown, and New Edition. And we were the most successful tour, in the late 80s, early 90s, behind the Michael Jackson tour. And we just had such a great time. It was such a learning experience, actually being in the trenches. So then I did that for a while, and simultaneously I was producing. So I was working with artists such as Faith Evans, who used to sing my demos. She went to church with my mom, and, I brought her in the studio and used to pay her an extraordinary amount of money every day just to come in and sing demos because she was so magical. And, of course, that translated into her deal with Sean Puffy Combs and Bad Boy, and when we happened to be working on a group named 112 for Puffy. And then also Dave Hollister was another young man that who's an incredible vocalist, very, very soulful, kind of neo-soul vocalist who was actually doing gospel now. Mm-hmm. Basically, and it was just ironic, but I don't want to say ironic because things, I guess, happen for a reason. And through Jodeci, we, of course, I guess you want to say released and launched the likes of a guy named Timbaland, and Missy Elliott and Genuine, and everything came from that camp. So Devontae Swing, who was the producer of Jodeci, which I co-wrote most of the material for that first album, was just, a brilliant talent within himself. So I was just enjoying this, being able to touch all of these different projects. And then the amazing Sean Puffy Combs calls me and says, hey, I have this project I need you to work on with me, this guy named Usher. So we got in the studio and started to work on Usher's first album. It was just fun. I mean, it was just having an opportunity to just stretch my musical acumen and just being able to work with artists from all different walks of life and just understand that it was music. I mean, the only thing I'm probably angry with the industry about is that we have to have categories.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand we have country music and hip-hop and so on and so forth, but to me, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing, and this is what I stress to any artist, anyone who wants to be an artist, forget the technology, forget everything else. It's all about the song at the end of the day.
Amen.
That's why
to that. We say that a lot around Fame Games as well.
Are you kidding me? Absolutely. And thinking about it, I mean, that's why I can work 22 years later. If I was ever hungry or, starving, I can go to several countries and go sing Night and Day and Killing Me Softly and Rescue Me and Off on Your Own Girl and eat every weekend. But like I said, it's only because we took time to write songs and make it melodic and make it something that would stick to your ribs. We try to create something with meat on it instead of just trying to be trendy and just follow whatever else was going on the radio. And at the end of the day, I don't think it was anything original that we created because all I did was borrow from Stevie Wonder and Smokey Robinson and Donny Hathaway and some of the greats before me, including Johnny Mathis, which is one of my favorites. My iPod is right now is full of Michael Bublé and Pat Metheny and Wu-Tang and Busta Rhymes. I mean, so like I said, there's still an eclectic taste in the music, but I just truly just enjoy music. I enjoy fun, energetic music, whether it makes you sad, happy. The bottom line is as long as it makes you something, it's effective.
Absolutely.